Hello and welcome back to another English adventure. This time we're just outside Portsmouth at
Portchester Castle.
Portchester Castle. I'm Tom.
I'm Lucy.
And we're going to show you a little bit of an insight and a dip back into history to see the castle and what you'll expect to see if you decide to visit. So let's get stuck into it.
Let's go.
We just paid, come out a little shop
Little shoppy shop.
to get in and start our adventure.
Richard II built a small palace here between 1396 and 1399 for use when hunting nearby whilst waiting to sail to France.
In 1396, Richard II made peace with France and married the 7-year-old daughter of the French king. As the military threat diminished, money became available to make the royal castles, including Portchester, more comfortable. Built between 1396 and 1399, Richard II intended his great hall to be a place of great luxury where he could hold court and entertain. Hello, welcome to the Hello, fair children and adults of the time of Richard II. Here is the theatre that would hold about 300 people in at a time, cramped in like sardines. I am Captain William Patterson, the commander of Portchester, and I bring you good tidings, and I also bring you a great YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. I know what you're thinking. I look royal, but I am merely just a peasant. I am a prisoner here, and most of the plays that were here were created by the prisoners, and the locals from all around Portchester were allowed to come watch it. Most of the plays were written from memory.
Where were the prisoners from?
Prison.
France.
France. That's it. Stop there, villain. Give me back my wife and fear for your life. Good heavens, it's Stanislas! Guards, seize them. Take them to the tower. May the husband now occupy the place once held by your wife. Traitor, you can take our lives, but at least let us die together. No, I'll hear none of this. Soldiers, separate them. Rival whom I abhor, you will pay for your independence with your life. Mokusco, I leave you in charge of the prisoners. On your head be it if anything to befall him. Take them away. After several attempts, the guards managed to separate Stanislas and Rosliska. Polowitz says he exits. I triumph. Tableau. Thank you for watching. I'm a natural, I know. Why did I become a tree surgeon when I could have been in theatre? great show. Wow, what do you think of that, Luke?
Wonderful, wonderful.
I know, I'd love to meet the actors. They were, well, no, but the actors were brilliant. You know, 10 out of 10. And it was free for your entertainment. Ooh, going up the stairs now to the upper floors. Originally the only access to the basement.
Steps are tiny.
It was dark. Oh, spiral staircases. We have a lot of experience with this.
A flock of dreams, letters to and from the prisoners flying over the English Channel like birds, represented their only link with their homelands.
For most of the period from 1794 until 1814, Portchester Castle housed a large prisoner of war community, mostly French. There were various times Spanish, Dutch, German and Danish soldiers and sailors were also held here. The prisoners slept in large dormitories, not in cells, and had a diet comparable to that of a labouring poor in Britain at the time. Each was issued with a hammock, mattress and blanket. There was a prison uniform of trousers, shoes and clogs, a cotton shirt, a cardigan and a jacket. The uniforms were coloured yellow to prevent them from being sold and to identify the prisoners if they tried to escape. Prisoners' daily food allowance in 1801 was 1.5 pounds of black bread made from rye rather than wheat, half a pound of beef and vegetables. Twice a week they received cod or herring and potatoes instead of beef. The prisoner's day. 6 a.m. in summer, 7 a.m. in winter. A bell rang to wake the prisoners. The dormitory doors were opened and their numbers were checked. 9 a.m. The prisoners formed into groups of 12 to receive their morning rations of bread. 10 a.m. Prisoners opened their stalls in the castle market to sell their craft objects. British storeholders also set up their stores, daily distribution of soup and beef. 12 noon. A bell rang to call a halt to the market. British storeholders and visitors left the prison. Daily distribution of soup and beef ration to the prisoners. Sunset. At the first bell, the prisoners were counted and returned to their dormitories. At the second bell, all lights had to be extinguished.
During the conflict with France between 1793 and 1815, up to 8,000 prisoners could be held at Portchester Castle at any one time. Britain, France and other combatant nations had overseas colonies which became involved in the conflict. There was fighting in the Caribbean, the Americas, South Africa and India. Prisoners of many different nationalities and backgrounds were brought to Portchester in the course of the wars. They included the wives and families of soldiers, civilian crews and passengers on board French ships. It was a global conflict. When war broke out between Britain and revolutionary France in 1793, the islands of the Caribbean were drawn into the conflict.
What are we looking at?
In 1796, 3 black soldiers fighting for France were captured and sent to Portchester as prisoners of war.
Got to go up again.
During the 18th century, warring nations tended to exchange prisoners at regular intervals, but after Napoleon came back to power in France, this system broke down. The number of enemy soldiers imprisoned in Britain rose from 13,600 in 1795 to more than 70,000 in 1814. During the 18th century, warring nations tended to exchange prisoners at regular intervals. They were given extra clothing as many had arrived in clothes suitable for the Caribbean, not British weather.
A thick woolen vest was issued as well as extra socks until shoes could be made for them. The prisoner doctor arranged a special diet. This included extra potatoes and soup before bedtime. Their beer was flavoured with ginger, which was thought to be warming. Unfortunately, Dr. Johnson could not prevent the soldiers from being robbed of their clothing by the European prisoners. Eventually, Dr. Johnson arranged for the black and mixed race soldiers to be accommodated separately on 2 new prison ships. As the war continued, the government was obliged to moor hulks, naval ships with their masts removed in Portsmouth harbour to provide more accommodation. They were used as barracks for sailors in between campaign and as naval hospitals, as well as to house prisoners of war. Like many prisoners of war in the 18th century, the men and women from St. Lucia were eventually exchanged for captured British soldiers and sent to France. The black and mixed race soldiers found life very difficult here. The weather was cold and damp, and many were suffering from severe chilblains. Steps back to the theatre where we saw the really good actors. Really want to find out who they were. They were brilliant. So that's the inside of the castle explored. So now we're gonna head out to the courtyard and have a quick little zoomies around there. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go explore some more. quick lap around the outer walls. I think Lucy's trying to point me that way. Is that right?
Yeah, this way.
Alright, let's go. And that was Portchester Castle. A little look around the grounds, inside the actual castle itself. A little dip into history, as I like to say. So yeah, that's it for another video. Keep an eye out because there will be more on the channel. So I think you should like,
subscribe,
and see you in the next one.